Hello, hello. I am so excited to be here. I realize that everybody says that. I'm so excited to be here, but I'm going to say it because I am. Welcome to this live hot seat jam. I'm Prathi, and this is Shauna. I'm a social media strategist and your chai sipping content nerd, and I love to help business owners stop guessing what the F to post on Instagram and finally feel like their content actually works for them. And today I've got someone amazing, Shauna here, and she's a breathwork facilitator and trainer who is the founder of Breath Liberation Society, a membership and certification program that isn't just about teaching breath work, right? It's more about helping people lead with presence and power. That's what I feel from you. And so without further ado, Shauna, I would love for you to kind of introduce yourself and talk a little bit about what you do.
Yeah, of course. I'm like writing down lead with presence and power because that was a very good description that I haven't used yet. So forgive my small distraction, but hi, I'm Shauna. I'm a breath worker. I'm a movement facilitator. I've been working with people, training them to get more in touch with their bodies, either physically or energetically for the last 20 years. I'm here in Maryland, just outside of Washington, D.C., but I am a California native. And it feels very important to my identity that I say that.
Yeah.
And yeah, I am a small business owner and I wear a bunch of different hats. And I met Prathi because we were part of the Low Lift Club, which is all about creating spaces on YouTube. And what's funny about that is that I still haven't created YouTube channel.
I'm waiting to see your work on YouTube, man. I see it. Hey, Jamar, I'm waiting to see it because when I see pieces of it on Instagram, I'm like, oh, I just want to feel it. Like I'm pretty sure I would open it up and do it myself. Like I use YouTube, right, for like those longer kind of things. Like I listen to music and meditation stuff and like affirmations, like all that kind of stuff. I feel like this would be so powerful on YouTube. So I'm just waiting, Shauna.
Goodness, that is such a ringing endorsement. I was just looking at all the different ways that people are using YouTube, and it's not something that I've done personally, so it feels a little bit foreign. But that's why we're here, right? So we can talk about my slow kicking and dragging experience into being more consistent on social media.
Yeah. And so before we dive in though, I want to know a little bit about Breath Liberation Society. So just can you give a brief, like kind of summary of what it is, like your pitch for what it is?
Of course, Breath Liberation Society is a community that is rooted in liberation, transformation. We are diverse, we are inclusive, and we're committed to using the breath as a vehicle for building a more connected body, a more energetic body, and also for liberation for all. That is ultimately what Breath Liberation Society is. I like to use we. I don't know why, but it's just me. I run a globally accredited breathwork training. So for people who are interested in learning how to use the breath to lead responsible sessions in their communities, that is something I train in. And also we have a membership opening in the next month where you're going to be able to come in and learn the first 3 modules of the breathwork training, how to connect to the breath for your own personal use, how to create a stronger intuitive presence, how to create a deeper connection to yourself and your higher self through the breath, and also some of the science behind the breath. And that's going to be a membership that starts next month. So we're talking right now in July, and then membership starting in August.
Beautiful. That's awesome. I've seen you talk about it. I've seen you, the breadth of the work that you do and that you teach. And so now, like, we're here to kind of zoom in on that, like what you've been doing on social media to talk more about your membership, your what you do for people, how you serve people. And so with that today, like I just want to talk about how it's been for you to be able to do that on Instagram specifically, because there's just so much everybody can complain about social media and Instagram right now. There's nothing that we can't complain about, honestly. But I also want to talk about like what's been working for you and things like that. So you just wrapped up a mini launch, am I right?
Yeah, I just did a mini launch, like to the waitlist only, and I my business coach lovingly pointed out that I've never truly tried to sell anything on social media.
Mm-hmm.
I think even this mini launch, I mentioned it on social media, maybe in my stories.
Mm-hmm.
In the last year, I've opened enrollment for the training, I want to say 4 times.
Mm-hmm.
And at least 2 of those, I did like a no social media announcement launch. And what's interesting is that I really want it. Like I know that what I'm offering is amazing. And I know that the more people that do breath work and the more helping professionals, healing professionals that offer breath work to their clients, like I'm confident that it's going to be a better world when that happens. So
Yeah.
I'm committed to bringing more people in the door.
Yeah.
But I felt for a while really resistant around trying to do so in with social media. And it worked for a little while. That's what's funny. Like for a
Mm-hmm.
couple of years, I was able to do that. I didn't have to post as much on social media. I still hit my enrollment numbers. I was still bringing in amazing people. And then that sort of stopped like a year ago. And I started to have to really come to grips with the idea that we live in this world. In order to run a small business in this world, I'm going to have to get a lot more visible. If I'm truly committed to my vision, which is to create more spaces for people who look like me, who have my lived experiences, to feel welcome in wellness spaces, then I'm going to have to get over myself and start participating in the social media game. So yeah, I don't even know if that answered your question.
Well, I want to know because you said it was working for a while. You were meeting your enrollment numbers, and then a year ago it stopped. So let's unpack that a little bit.
Yeah.
Not a little bit.
So
Let's try to dive deep into that actually. So
so if I had to guess, is that when I first started offering breathwork training, I got let's say like 10 people, and I'm just making this number up. Like I had 10 people, and then like for a couple years, like three at a time would sign up, and it was fine. But I think I wasn't refreshing my audience. Like I wasn't bringing in new people, so I was just selling the same training, which has actually evolved a lot in the last 4 years. But I was selling sort of the same training to the same group of people, and I started to exhaust that small fishing pond that I was working in.
yeah.
Yeah, that's what I have now assumed.
Okay. So basically you're saying like a year ago you kind of stopped trying to bring in new people because you're
I
right.
never tried to bring in new
Oh, you
people.
never okay. Well, meaning
Like a set amount.
okay. So now I guess what's holding you back is like, oh, I have to bring in new people, but is it like, do you feel like you don't know where to start or what do you think it is?
Oh, it's so many things. So one, I'm in this really very microcosm of a world, which is interesting because my partner is not in wellness at all. So like I get to like scroll through her Instagram and it's a completely different place. But my old business coach isn't on Instagram anymore. Most of my friends that work in breathwork are completely off of Instagram. So it feels lonely
Mm,
because it's like everybody is being very principled about what they believe in. And they're just like, we're done. We're off of social media, you know, so one, I feel conflicted around that because it feels like my community has left the app, and I'm not naive enough to be like no one's on Instagram anymore. That's not true. Obviously, people are on Instagram, but it feels like my community is off of Instagram, and that's 90% true. For the most part, they are off of Instagram. And then the second part is not only not knowing where to start, but also feeling like I feel like I see so many different posts on like threads or Instagram where everyone's like, if you're posting on social media without a strategy in place, then you're wasting your time. Then you might as well not do it. And as much as I'd like to know that they're using like really direct language to be a little bit, a little bit controversial or whatever, like it's working. And I'm like, well, if there's no strategy, then I might as well not bother.
Yeah.
Which feels silly to say out loud, but it's true. I'm like, I don't have a strategy. And so I might as well not bother. And I think that the last part is that just like I'm a really private person, and be putting my face on social media and having to like engage with the app so much feels like just like slightly more than I want to give. And it's this constant tug and pull of like, okay, my friends aren't here. I don't want to really do all of this. And also I'm not posting those strategies. So like I think up until a couple months ago, my MO would be to like show up, be like, hey, enrollment's open for Breath Liberation Society, and then ghost the app for like 3 months because I was just so tired, and I was just like, I don't know what I'll post, and it's just everything. Um, but now I have tried to take a new approach, and I think when I did I'm trying to fix a couple of things that I also recognize are like really bumming me out, like not liking my profile, which is so
Mhm.
silly. But like
Mhm.
I DM'd you and I was like, hi, I need help with my profile. And you were like, cool, here's the link for this video. I was like, I actually just want you to do it with me.
Yeah, I remember that.
Sorry to be that person. I
Yeah.
watched your video and it's super good, and yet still I can't do it on my own.
Yeah.
So I think I'm trying to get out of my own way a little bit and getting a few more done for you services, just like for the things that are really hanging me up, and the things that I'm making be a reason for not putting myself out there more. I'm like, okay, like what is this actually, right? And
Yeah.
now I like the profile.
Yeah. Yay. I'm glad. And before I go back to what you said, like before this profile thing, I just do want to say, like, that's one of the, I mean, that is one of the starting points. Like, literally, if anybody comes on and let's say they watch something of yours and they're like, "Ooh, I like this person. Let me go check out their other stuff." What are they going to see? They're going to see your profile first. And so if it's not saying what needs to be said in the sense of like, if someone doesn't go there and say, "Oh, this is exactly the kind of person I need to follow," and it has some random, like, excuse my word, but shit on there, and like it's like, I'm a dog lover, I'm a ramen lover, like this is what I used to have before, right? I love chai, I love ramen, I'm a mom of three, like I'm all these things, but then how am I going to help someone? Like, I mean, let's get down to the point, I guess, is the thing is that, you know, now more and more people are following more and more people. Like, we literally have thousands of people that we're following. So how do we like make sure that we catch that attention? Like, and profile is the first thing. Like, if especially someone new comes, right, and they're going to check you out. So I'm glad we did that. I'm glad you
Yeah.
feel good about your profile. So that's awesome. But I wanted to say, like, you know, I don't think it's unnatural to feel that the way you're feeling about social media, because there are all these things that come into play, and when there's so many people saying different things, unfortunately, about how to do something, aka like how to win on Instagram, how to sell on Instagram, how to show up on Instagram, it can be very overwhelming. And you're like, you know what, like, and then you find the words and the beliefs that you already have in your head to say, okay, like this isn't worth it, my time. So that's, it's natural to do that, I totally get it. But I want to say, like, do you feel, not looking at your profile, but like when you're on Instagram, how do you feel about it? How do you, looking at other things that you like, or do you follow, like, are you on Instagram a lot?
So
You know.
I really curated my Instagram because I was like, I have to not hate this. So I curated it a lot. Like I muted a lot of people and a lot of things, and I pretty much only see dog videos, tennis, and then like this is so bad to admit, like 30 people.
Yeah. That's, it's not bad to admit. Like, that's what we need to do these days, right? Because we end up following so many people, and our interests are different than from our business, right? Like, we have those
Mhm.
other interests. So, yeah, mine's a lot of humor, mine's a lot of like parenting stuff and, you know,
Yeah.
things like that. So, I get you. Like, we have to filter, we have to remove, we have to mute. like I mute people in my industry, FYI, like
Oh
because
yeah.
that gets in your head too, right?
Yeah.
So that's a great thing. So that's the first thing, is like curating what's coming in, because again, your beliefs kind of, it's already in there, right? So you're gonna push the stuff that you're already hearing and saying like, okay, I don't need to do this. So that plays into it. And then the other thing is like, if you're curated, like how do you feel after this curation? How do you feel?
Fine. Like
Fine.
fine. Yeah. I mean, I'm juggling a bunch of hats. I still work pretty full time in a day job. So if I need to focus, like I put my phone in the other room and, and take like 6 hour breaks during the day on social media. And that works really well for me. So yeah, I feel fine about it, but it's been, it's like, do you remember, not Spotify? There's the other, like what's the name of the music app that everyone had before Spotify? Not iTunes. Oh, maybe it's iTunes. I'm like,
iTunes,
there's
yeah.
one. But they
iTunes,
used to like let you like curate like a station, and you could like thumbs up or thumbs down music. Like I feel like it's taken a lot of years of like curating, but like for the most part, my social media is like something that I'm enjoy seeing.
yeah. And that's one thing also that's important for everybody to know, is that what you do for your own business and your posting and your like what you talk about can be completely different from what you're curating, and it will not affect each other, in the sense what you're interested in, what you like, what you engage with is what you're going to keep getting more of, and that's how Instagram works. And so it's not going to affect what you post, in the sense like, just because you post something different from what your interests are and your business, it doesn't mean that less people are going to see your business stuff. So I know that has been one myth out there. And, a lot of people think, oh, I need to stop, like, I should only talk about my business or only interact with stuff about my business. That's not true. You can interact with whatever makes you feel good at the end of the day. And you can post about your business and not worry about that reach being affected and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So let's put that to rest.
Thank you for that. That actually makes me feel better.
Yeah. And in that sense, like, do you think you've gotten better since you've done these things, like in terms of talking about your business?
I no, but I'm aware that I'm not doing it. Like I think in my dreams, I think I would have just like a checklist. Like this is what I do once a week, or like I've seen people who are like they talk about their business, they drop the link to their to their services once a day or something like that. I think I would love to get into some sort of habit like that. I'm not there yet, but the other thing that you did that actually fixed a lot of things in my social media experience is that I had two Instagram accounts and I was like not doing either because I was just like too hard, too much. And
Yeah.
I've decided to just switch back to that one Instagram account, and I'm already feeling so much space and like so much conflict about like, because I felt like I had to like put the school stuff on the school stuff and then my stuff on this stuff, and I was like, I'm just gonna mash it all together because like me showing up at all has got to be better than me just showing up like never, because I'm too overwhelmed and can't decide how to parse it apart.
Yeah. And that's a great thing that you did, because we talked about it. We're like, okay, I feel like these days the person representing that business and the brand, even if they start posting about other things even other than their business, it's okay to keep it in that personal brand kind of account. And at this point, me and you are both in that space where we can do that. We don't need a separate account where we have to manage that thing. And so maybe if you had someone else down the road who can help you with that, for sure. Like if you can create a separate account and all that, but I don't think it's necessary at this point, like for our businesses. And I would just recommend building your personal brand, because at the end of the day, people are coming these days, especially, they want to know who's behind the business. They want to know things about you. They want to know what you value. Are you against something, people are talking about? Like, I mean, let's just talk about it. The stuff that's going on in the world, right? It's huge topics. You don't have to talk about it. However, people want to know these things these days. And so, everything matters in that sense. And so they want to know who's behind the brand. And I think sticking to one account is going to save your sanity, save you time, and all that for, you know, down the road. So I think that was a great choice too. And I'm glad that now it's getting easier now. So you kind of prepped yourself. You're like, okay, my account, I feel like my profile, I feel good about it. And I've reduced it to one account. And so, okay, what's next? Like, are you thinking of what, like, do you know what you want to post, things like that?
So I've gotten good at my stories. I've been very consistent with my stories for the last 3 weeks, and it's been going really well. Like my viewership thing, whatever number is up, which feels good. And that feels like you would be very proud of me. I like walk around in the morning with my tripod and just like film the first 30 minutes of whatever I'm doing. And I was thinking a lot about like what I wanted to be known for, which is something you asked me about. It's like what I want to be known for. And I was like, okay, I want to be known for breath work and for movement. So I'm trying very hard to show breath work or movement most mornings, Monday through Friday on Instagram. And that's been going well. That does not feel overwhelming. It feels quite natural.
Yes.
And I guess I just need to, I still feel like I offer like 3 different businesses, and I think I have a hard time trying to decide which one to show off and how. Because like I do business coaching, I run a breathwork school, I still do see some movement clients. So it's just like,
Got it.
what do I talk about? And like, how do I guess back to that whole niche thing, right? Of like, you know, if you're talking to too broadly, then you're not talking to anyone. And I'm like, but these are the broad things that I'm into, and this is what I have experience in, and this is what I'm best at. It just happens to be 3 things, and they're all still kind of linked together, but I am having a hard time with that.
Okay, so in this case, like what I usually see is that we have trouble like deciding, okay, what do I want to promote now? What do I want to post about? And you said one thing is that all these things are linked, which is great. So I think what you have to do is what I would recommend is come first noting down how these things are linked, like off social media. Are they connecting to each other? Like, can people, you know, look at your, let's say, website and be able to see these different services? Or are they completely like disconnected? Do they have different websites, things like that? So what I would do first, honestly, is map that out like in a picture, like, so you know how things are connected right now. So take a snapshot of like all these businesses and links and where you have them and where you're promoting them currently. So basically what I'm saying is look at your current marketing ecosystem for these different businesses, right? Then when you just look at Instagram, I guess one thing you can decide is like, who are the people here that I can actually like talk to that are looking for one of my businesses? Let's say it's just, and it might be all of them, but there's always usually like a priority, like a primary audience, primary target audience. And this is probably most likely like geared towards that, like one of your offers, right? Basically, this is how you kind of funnel and understand how to funnel people through your different layers of your business, even through email and all that. Because what you can do is you don't have to promote like all 3 at the same time. You can decide, hey, I'm launching this membership in the next month. So I just need to talk about that. Like that is priority. That's number 1. If I'm not talking about that, then you know, things might, and people will be confused, right? Like if you're bringing up this other stuff. And believe me, I do that stuff sometimes now too. So I'm like, no wonder people don't know what the heck I'm doing. And they're asking like, okay, like what do you have that can help me? It's because I'm kind of all over the place and I'm talking about these 3 things. And we know social media is not a one-to-one thing. So someone may drop in like in June, completely leave in July because they went on vacation, come back and then see Shauna posting about this membership, where she's like, oh, I didn't even know she had this, right? So that's the thing, is that you can decide like and have seasons of when you're promoting different things. And I see this from really successful businesses out there. They have like quarterly things, right? Like they're like, this quarter, this is what I'm focusing on, and this is all what I'm going to be talking about. And anything that I'm pointing people to is going to be related to this business, right? Whether going to an email first or a lead magnet first for that. And then finally, like they're entering into that offer like funnel, I guess. And then you can switch it up. It's okay. Like I've seen that work like really well. And people are super successful about it because we know, again, that's where consistency comes in, where I think we get thrown off because we're like, okay, I consistently talk, but you consistently talked about 3 different things. And then you're not seeing one thing, like one offer being, like successful, right? Or you want to grow that. And that comes into play. So I would suggest like maybe for the next quarter or even 30 to 60 days, like even in the next month, if you're like, I'm launching this membership, this is what I'm going to talk about. I'm going to leave the others aside. And anything that leads to this is what I'm going to post about. So that's kind of what I would do in this sense. And that will make you feel like focused. That will make you feel like, okay, this is all I have to kind of talk about. And it becomes somehow just easier in the sense because you've narrowed down now what all you can say about it. And it becomes super easy because then you can just repurpose a lot of your messaging and just change up visuals and things like that. And it's like, oh, I cranked out now like, a month's worth of content. Even if it's 3 times a week, that's okay. But you're just talking about that. So it feels like easier. So how does that sound? Like,
I love that idea. Like I'm actually, I follow a coach who's been doing a quarterly launch and like they changed who they were talking about to the point where I was like, do they have a new offer? I was like, I do. Like, I was like dialed all the way in and they're still selling the same program, but they just like kind of changed who they were speaking to. And you're right. It's really, that's very cool. Can we talk a little bit about repetition on social media? This is like something that I'm trying to get over. Like, I think for a long time, I thought I had to be very unique and like I couldn't say the same thing because people would get bored or I don't know, somehow have memorized everything I've ever posted. And I'm finally okay with being repetitive in email. And I'm starting to understand the repetition in Instagram. Everyone's been at the Cowboy Carter tour, like the Beyonce country show. And at some point during the show, she says something like, never ask for permission from something that's already yours. And when I tell you every effing week, somebody's on threads like, Beyonce said this, and I just felt that. And everybody's like, and I'm like, she says the same thing at every single show. And everyone acts like it's like the most, like, hold on. And that's not a dig on Beyonce, but I was like, wait a minute. Like everybody, I didn't even go to the show. And I know she says this every week. Like that means like maybe I can just like say the same thing on Instagram because I mean the way people act like it's like, like a new fucking scripture sorry for my language, every single week. And I like what? Every time people like 2,000 likes every time as if they've never seen it before, even though it's been how long has she been on tour this time,
Yeah. And that goes to show you that it hits different at different times for people, right? Like even if I attended the concert and then attended it like maybe 6 months down the road with someone else, like another friend, and then she says it again, it's going to feel different that day. Like that's why repetition is necessary. It's like, it brings up different emotions and depending on what people are going through, they're either going to take it in or it's going to just like bounce right off and like, it won't matter. Right. But then that's our responsibility is to make sure that they get it eventually. Like, as a parent, I know that's like, I do that for my kids all the time. I say the same thing again and again, and it never hits like usually the first time. And so I have to. So yeah, the repetition part is hard. Even last week I spoke to someone, she's like, yeah, it just feels weird reposting the same thing. And it's like, hey, I've already said this. Like, do they really want to hear it again? Yes. We all know, like we go through it this ourselves, like non-social media, like we have to hear it again and again so many times in order for it to hit. So in terms of Instagram and how you can make it feel less repetitive, even though it is the same thing, we're very lucky for Instagram that we have different ways to show stuff, right? Like in terms of like a reel, a carousel, just a graphic or a quote. So I think, and a story too. So we have so many formats to play with. I think we're lucky versus like even TikTok. Like, yeah, people post pictures and stuff, but you know, it's just video. But you can even take it another level where like even in a reel you can show pictures, you can show like screenshots, you can do green screen. Like there's so many ways we can visually communicate the same thing, like the same copy. I'm just talking about like exact same wording, everything, and just say it in different ways. And so that makes it feel less repetitive in the sense of like you don't have to worry about like posting the same exact same post. So have you tried doing that? Like thinking about, okay, like different way of saying things and using visuals as the differentiator?
So I have a couple of things that I was like, this is like, I think core who I am as a brand, like these are my like core beliefs. And I don't, and I've been like, okay, I could just say them more than once. But I like the idea of changing up the like reel to story to whatever. I think that makes a lot more sense than what I was doing because I was like, and that makes complete sense actually. That really helps it feel more like within my grasp.
Yeah. And because I know the next level will be like, oh my God, what do I use? Like, how do I change the graphics? Well, I mean, we have a lot of free tools where there are already templates and things like that. For example, Canva CapCut has some great stuff if you're doing video, like you can choose different video, like visuals from CapCut. So just some of those things that are already in our toolkit that we can kind of leverage are those, right? I also am a huge fan of this membership called Your Template Club. I've gotten their Canva templates and they do a lot of stuff that are Instagram on trend, and like every month they send you new templates, which is kind of cool. So just something you can think about, like if graphics again isn't your strong point, but you want like Instagram worthy, like new good stuff, that's another thing that you can consider. So, but for us, again, like we don't want to overthink graphics and all that kind of stuff. So it's more like, let me come up with maybe 2 to 3 templates that I can use consistently, even reel formats. Like I can do some B-roll. I can do some, you know, voiceover kind of reels where you're just showing video, but then you're just voicing over. You're not talking to camera. And just have a few little formats that you just play with for, let's say, 30 to 60 days. And just stick to those formats for a certain amount of time. So this is how you kind of get into the habit of consistency first, like build up your consistency, but also just like not trying to too many things at once. Because again, sometimes we overthink, oh, I need a new carousel like template. No, you don't. Like again, people aren't going to notice these things. You can change small things like the color and this and that, but use the same template, right? It also gets people into like, oh, this is Shauna's brand. This is Shauna's color. Now I recognize her. This is like, this must be Shauna who's saying that. Like you want them to say those things, right? So that repetitiveness actually helps build that recognition and like the ability for them to know who the heck they're listening to. And they're like, yeah, like I know this, like I don't even have to see the last slide and who it is and who posted. Like I know this is Shauna. And if they hear your voice, they'll know it's you. It's like these small things that make such a huge difference. And it brings in the repetitiveness and it builds your like brand name, right? And so if you're not doing that already, that's one thing I would do is just choose a couple of formats for carousels, like 2 different formats. That way you can feel like, okay, I have like a little bit of variety maybe, and something that you like. And what I do is I actually look at other people's and I'm like, okay, like let me design something like this, like exactly, and then just change it up with my brand colors and things like that. And then for reels, like it's a little bit tough. Like, how do you feel about reels right now? Like, do you do a lot of them, or how comfortable are you?
I I'm okay with reels. I think I really like the idea of just coming up with like a template. Like I'm slowly moving into a space where I just know if I just had just like a schedule and just like a
Yeah.
little checklist, I could create some things.
Yeah.
Um, reels feel fine. I think even the editing's gotten it's so easy. I was like a journalism student, like cutting like film with like a slashy thing with like a blade. Um,
Yeah.
so I recognize how easy it is to edit things now. I think I just need. I keep thinking that I just need a tiny bit more time in my schedule to get all of this done.
Yeah.
And I moved 3 work hours away off of my schedule. So I think I'm gonna have the time because in my brain, when you and I met, I was like, okay, I'm gonna start posting 3 times a week. And so far, I've averaged what a week.
Hmm.
I, I have posted at least
Yeah.
regularly at least once. And that's been feeling okay. I don't think I'm ever going to be like a volume girly when it comes to social media.
Yeah.
I just don't think that's in my wheelhouse. But I feel okay with reels. I think, but it's still back to the whole thing with every. I don't know. I feel so silly even saying these things out loud, but like I read all the stuff where people are just like, oh my god, not another Canva template. So then I go into Canva and I'm like, I need to create my own because everyone's gonna like know it's from Canva and like thumbs down it. But it's silly. I'm not selling design, so I don't. Why? Who cares if it's like an exact Canva template?
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it feels weird saying that out loud because that's a true belief that I have.
Yeah.
Now that I say it out loud, doesn't seem to make sense.
Yeah. And if Canva doesn't, if you have that too, you know what you can do is just type it up on the notepad, like in your phone, and just post those screenshots. Like, I mean, if it's really that big of a deal, I mean, I would just do that because at the end of the day, conveying your whatever that message is about that topic, I think that's the main thing, right? And these little lo-fi ways of doing things, like just typing it up on the notes and just screenshotting that and posting it. Like I see that a lot of people do that too. You can even write it on a piece of paper and screenshot that and post that. I mean, I think these are just things that you're probably, again, you said it yourself, you're getting in your head about the visuals. At the end of the day, I want to know all those breath work techniques that you're doing and why it's important that I do them.
Yeah,
That's like if I'm your target audience in that sense, like I mean, I'm not looking to go and train and have this in my training like toolkit, but I would love to know those techniques, right? Like as a consumer of wellness and like all these things that I need. I think that's the most important thing. So, when it comes to the consistency, again, you asked about that, like how to get more repetitive and consistent, is just deciding a format that feels good to like be able to create quickly, starting with that for a while and not worrying about the fact that people are saying, oh, carousels not work, reels doesn't. Forget that. Everything works when it needs to. Like when it has that value and the like thing, it will work and it will bring in what you need to. But to be consistent, you have to start with what is easy first for you to quickly put out content. And then you can bring in like the other things and like give variety and stuff. So if reels, like if it's okay, start creating those B-roll reels or whatever is easy for you just once a week. But then if carousels work much better for you and you like writing, use that, right? And as your majority format. That will immediately increase your output to maybe 2 to 3 times a week, even. You know what I mean? So it's not like you need a bunch of variety. It's you just need to go with what's easy for you to create at this point. That way you get into the habit of at least posting more because eventually you'll be able to post more. Even if you're not a volume girl, once it becomes easy, you'll be able to like, oh yeah, I can post this right now. I know what to do. Like it's quick. It just happens. And it's great that you're doing stories, by the way. So I think that's again, since that's another format, that's counted as a format. Like, why aren't you counting that as another post of yours? It is a post, right? So don't bring stories down. You're doing great on stories, by the way. I love your stuff. So yeah, I think you were going to say something, but I don't know.
No, I was going to say it. I like the idea of like maybe just posting a little more regularly and the idea that it's going to get easier. Like, I don't think I'd ever considered that like I could just do it and then the things would feel easier. Like, I like, never crossed my mind. I was like, I'll figure out how to tolerate. But like it didn't cross my mind that that would feel easier. And what you're describing makes it seem like I could just keep trying and do it regularly enough and that it's going to seem easier. And then I can, then I'll be able to post more.
Yeah. Honestly, it just comes down to first starting with those baby steps. Like someone's trying to go from 0 to 40, like, or, like accelerate really fast. Of course, you're going to be, you're going to feel really weird, and you're going to be like, no, this is taking too much time, and then not end up posting at all. And I think just from what you've been saying this whole time in this talk is that you're slowly getting back into, I know I have to get out there. I know I have to start posting more about this stuff. So your goal right now, like today, is to figure out what is the best format for me that I can quickly crank out information on. Then the next step is like, what is that information I can convey in just this format? Like, what are the different things I can talk about? And the way I teach people is I have this framework called the problem to post framework. So every week, you're just picking one problem or challenge that your audience has, and you're talking only about that the whole week. And when you break it up into, let's say, 5 days, in the first day, you can cover like a common question that your audience has about that topic or about that problem, right? So if my problem is like, I just want to relax at the end of a long day, and I don't know what can I do to just wind down after a long day at work? Okay. That's my problem. These are things people are searching for, like ideas for. There can be tons of different ways, but what's your way? How would you answer my question with your knowledge and expertise, right?
So this is so fun.
So Monday, you just give me a list of things I can do, let's say. So I call that an FAQ type content. So you're just giving me a list. This could be a simple like B-roll of you doing one of those things, like in the video, and then just listing the 5 things, whatever they are. Okay. And that's it. And then in the caption, you can explain the rest. Okay. So that's one day. The next day, the same topic of what I just said, the next day, you can actually dive into one of those things. Like, let's say it's one of your breath work techniques. Can you give me one, like a name? Like,
this straw breathing is a really good way to, I always tell people, like when you're like getting out of your car before you go in your house, pause and take a couple deep breaths, follow this style of breathing. It helps to slow everything down. It helps to like get your brain to be less crazy. So that way you can kind of put it all away and then go into your house and be with your family and not be all wrapped up in, that email you got 2 hours ago.
Okay. What you just said right there is going to be one post describing the expertise of your of your content. So that falls into that expertise bucket. So that's when you can dive in a little bit more into one of your strategies, right? So that's a post right there. And this could be anything. You could have pictures of you doing some of the steps, even like explaining, and then going into why this works, what they'll achieve from it, and things like that. So that's there. Then the third day, let's say you have a story about when you first learned this yourself, or when you shared this with a client and what happened like after they did this. And they did this for 30 days of practicing this thing every time they got back from work or something. What did they feel? What did they like share with you that you can kind of share with your audience and let them know, hey, you can get this too, right? So I talk about like this is like the story values kind of content. And then finally, the 5th day, you could even have testimonials, like from people who've done this through your membership or through whatever offer that kind of ties to that you want to promote, right? So that will hit your promotional type post. And then you could do a funny, like relatable thing where maybe you talk about how you're doing all these things, but yet sometimes, like it's just hard to feel like relaxed. It's hard to because there's things going through your head. And so maybe you do a meme, or maybe you do like a funny trending audio or something like that. So right there, you have 5 posts, and I've just broken it down into different angles, right? So it's kind of repetitive because you're talking about the same problem, same topic, but it's not repetitive because you give different angles. So how does that feel, like knowing that you can do it in this way?
Very easy. And I'm like, I'm sitting here, I'm like, oh, how much is that done for your package again? Probably just gonna be your new client.
Yeah. And that's essentially, like, I want people to know that that's how they can think about repetitiveness and talking about the same thing again and again, but in a very easy, like, oh, I can do this. Like maybe I can come up with like these kind of topics. So think about one problem every week instead of like 10 different problems in that week. One problem, one post every day, and one like key like message that you want to convey in that. So it's like 1-1-1. So that's what I would say.
So I'm following all of this. And what was really like fun and intuitive that you even came up with a problem is that I feel, and I've said this over and over again, and you've just completely like taken all of that away. But I'm always like, I don't solve a problem. And I constantly have issues with all marketing things that are like, figure out your client's problems and then say, and then talk about them. And I would have told you dollars for donuts that I don't solve any problems. So it's very funny that's like, it's funny, like, I guess universally channeled.
Yeah.
That's where you're like, oh, this is this random thing. I'm like, oh yeah, that's totally something I fixed.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how powerful your stuff is, right? Like, I mean, yes, I'm Googling, like, how do I wind down at the end of the day? But it's more than that. And with you talking about this stuff and your methods and your strategies and your different techniques, it's going to show you as the person to go to when this person doesn't feel good at the end of the day, when they need to wind down, when they had a long day with their kids and they're like done. I'm like, and if I'm like about to scream my head off and like go cry in the closet, what do I do, Shauna? Essentially. So yeah, I mean, that's how you can think about it, is that one problem. And yes, 100% you solve like so many problems, but that's, I guess the first thing is like, come with that list of things that you do help solve, even just 10. If you do this for 10 problems or 10 questions that you're answering, you essentially have 10 weeks of posts. Like you just have to come up with the individual posts, but that's 10 weeks right there. And then you can just redo it. Forget 10, start with 4 or 5, like a month's worth. And you essentially can then like repurpose all this stuff down the road. So I know that's a little bit more like, that's another topic for another day, but that's how you stay consistent. Like it's a bunch of like, start with the easy. That's the first thing. And then start talking about that stuff in different angles. And then say the same thing again the next month. Like I would say that's how I would break up the repetitiveness and how you can do it in a very easy way.
Easy angles, repetitiveness.
Yeah. Start with easy, go different angles, and then repurpose.
Okay, Instagram world, here I come.
Yes, she's ready. Now, how do you feel? You ready? No, this has been great. I know we're already hitting the hour, so
I went quickly.
I appreciate you sharing what you're going through on Instagram. And I'm sure so many people are on the same boat in terms of like how they're feeling about it. But there's light at the end of the tunnel. It is possible to find joy in posting, even if there's other things that could be like, noise. And like good noise, bad noise, whatever it is, it's possible. And you know, I know you can do it. I want to see you do it, and you're already doing it, by the way. Like I see it in, like I said, in stories. So I'm super proud of you.
Thanks,
I've
friends.
seen you, how you've gone from like a few months to now, so it's awesome. But thank you for sharing all this, and I hope I helped you just a little bit even today. Uh, but yeah, let's end with how can people get in touch with you, and what, yeah, just say whatever you want to say about your breath liberation.
Yeah. Of course, people can get in touch with me through my main Instagram account, which is Shauna Bryant. I'm Shauna with a C. So if you're not watching this, you're listening to it, it's with a C. I'm really easy to find other than that. And I have a membership that's opening at the end of August, and it's going to be a great way for anyone that is interested in learning how to connect deeper to their breath, how to use their breath as a tool for resiliency, a tool for personal power, and a tool for mental peace, and also to learn a little bit of the fun science behind it. So yeah, that is me, and I'm just going to talk about my one offer.
Yes, let's go. Yes,
Very
thank you,
cool.
Shauna. And if anyone wants to get in touch with me, I am at Prathima. You'll see my Instagram handle here, and I have a free Instagram challenge called "What the F Do I Post?" and essentially it talks about the framework that I just spoke with Shauna about at the end, which is the problem to post framework. And I kind of get you into the habit of thinking that. So try the challenge out. It's free. It's through email. You get all the videos and all that kind of stuff, and it's easy to do. You have workbooks too. So the link is in the description. And I thank you for joining us, Shauna. Again, thank you so much. And you all have a great day. Bye.